Hello, my name is Kayla Kemp, and I am going to present my essay entitled Contributions of Mother Teresa, an Analysis of Her I-Thou Communication. The goal of this presentation is to explain Mother Teresa's speaking and writing through Martin Buber's I-Thou interpersonal theory. Additionally, I would like to discuss the significance of Mother Teresa's communication and how she contributed to scholarship. Mother Teresa was one of the most influential Christian leaders of the 20th century. Since being announced as a candidate for sainthood within the Catholic Church, the mainstream media have forgotten her. However, her communication style is important for scholars to analyze. Her ministry has been described by Pope Francis as an action of a saint, as an inestimable gift to others, and Time magazine summarized Mother Teresa as one who gave the world a moral example that bridged divides of culture, class, and religion. Therefore, it is time to conduct scholarly research explaining her communication through theory. Vast literature discusses her theology, especially regarding suffering. However, scholars have yet to explore Mother Teresa's communication to uncover why her symbolic use deeply impacted the world. It is valuable to scholarship because it advances Buber's I-Thou theory by escalating interpersonal encounters to affecting mass audiences. Specifically, Mother Teresa's speeches and writings utilize rhetoric that model elements of I-Thou communication. Though many of her communication works were intended for small audiences, her message influenced mass groups of people. This expansion evinces the impact of I-Thou interpersonal communication. Although there is no evidence that concludes Mother Teresa was aware of this theory, she frequently modeled Buber's philosophy of ideal communication. After providing a brief biography of Mother Teresa, I plan to discuss the contentions of Buber's I-Thou theory, describe Mother Teresa's communication, and conclude with how it may be explained through I-Thou theory. Sister Teresa was born to devout Catholics in Albania in 1910. Her father died when she was a young age, and her mother initially objected to her daughter becoming a nun. At the age of 12, she received her first calling to become a nun and moved to Ireland at the age of 18 to study English. Sister Teresa was often ill in her youth and knew that she wanted to help the sick during her ministry. She moved to India to teach geography at a Catholic school in 1929 and became a popular teacher and nun. This conflicted with the Catholic paradigm of nuns to fit into a narrow and humble role. Her classroom experience shaped her speaking style later in life when she became the spokesperson for the Missionaries of Charity. Her second calling, in which she referred to as a call within a call, took place while she was ill on a train. She described her life's mission as serving the poorest of God's creatures, including the destitute, dying, and lonely. In 1948, Sister Teresa left the comfort of St. Mary's to open a slum school in Mati Jheel, Calcutta. She wrote with a stick in the dust, stayed with other sisters, begged for food, and gave elementary medical care to the sick. After 21 years of serving in India, she was granted citizenship. Sister Teresa became Mother Teresa in 1950 when she joined 12 other sisters to launch the Missionaries of Charity Order instituted in Calcutta. She vowed to live in poverty, chastity, obedience, charity, and to serve only the truly destitute. Mother Teresa worked with Vatican members to develop a spiritual, simple schedule for the sisters of this order. They rose at 4:40, prayed until 5, had Mass, ate a modest diet, prayed in admiration for hours in the afternoon, and used all remaining time to serve the poor. Mother Teresa was acknowledged for her service by several governments, humanitarian organizations, and spiritual leaders. Most notably, she earned the Jawahirlal Nehru Award in 1969 for international understanding, and the Shiromani Award was presented to her by the Indian president. She was awarded Pope John XXI's Peace Prize and the Joseph Kennedy Jr. Foundation Award in 1971. She accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979, and in 1990 she stepped down to leadership due to illness. In 1997, 3 months after her death, she was also awarded the United States Congressional Gold Medal. She, in 2015, became eligible for sainthood due to evidence of her second miracle. Mother Teresa's communication may be best explained with Martin Buber's I-Thou interpersonal theory because it addresses how to apply one's faith in God to one's encounters with others. Buber's dialogical philosophy explains encounters and has been used in recent scholarship to explain human communication. Buber's I and thou theory addressed communications as linguistic exchanges that could be divided into categories based on the reciprocity of engagement. Martin Buber contended that individuals have dialogical relationships between themselves and nature, each other, and God. Buber distinguished interpersonal experiences as either I-it or I-thou. I-it communication is used for manipulation and practical necessity as the speaker attempts to persuade others to do what he or she wants them to do. It's a partial experience because these interactions do not require connecting with one's entire being, leading one to turn away from others and oneself. I-it communication focuses on the past because the speaker engages based on past experiences and his or own communication habits. I-thou communication, on the other hand, requires participants to fully engage themselves throughout dialogue. Mutuality is experienced when participants acknowledge humanity and themselves in others. According to Buber, all movements of individual genuine growth occur through I-thou encounters. From the fields of business to psychology, Buber's perspective has been applied in scholarship. Some researchers conducted a study to better understand business relationships. They found that the imbalance between I-it and I-thou communication leads to less workplace satisfaction and productivity. Another researcher named Nanda discovered in psychology that I-thou communication is important between psychologists and patients. When I-thou communication is mutual, it leads to more meaningful therapy sessions. When applied to education, it was found that if an education system lacks I-thou communication, it's harmful to students as they are not fully engaged in the learning process. In communication scholarship, I-thou theory has been applied to organizational culture, and it's also been used to explore religious communication. Mother Teresa communication aligns well with the I-thou theory. She was deeply impacted by her faith in God. On a daily basis, her schedule shows that she prayed before interacting with others. This seemingly influenced her speaking and writing. Mother Teresa's prayer was published by the Vatican, and it shows that she asked Jesus to be present in her encounters. She prayed that Jesus, quote, "shine through me and be so in me that every soul I come in contact with may feel thy presence in my soul," unquote. Though the wording shifts slightly in her speeches, books, and letters, Mother Teresa frequently requested that God play a significant role in her encounters with others. Her speaking abilities separated her from other leaders. One of Mother Teresa's famous speeches was delivered as she accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She selected rhetoric that discussed the humility of Jesus. Her simplistic, personable language pointed toward her own humility, as she did not employ speechwriters regardless of the occasion. Her interviews with reporters paralleled her formal speeches as she regularly discussed Jesus' suffering through common language. She was aware that televised interviews would be viewed around the world, but she engaged with reporters on a personal level. In addition to answering questions, she always integrated stories about her own encounters with God. As an author of books and letters, Mother Teresa offered advice to Christians. She wrote that God does not ask Christians to judge the poor, but rather to love and serve them. In other words, she did not focus on what she had made people poor because she believed in focusing on the present and meeting others' needs. Much like her speaking, Mother Teresa wrote stories about helping the sick and poor. These stories shared the same conclusion that when she had served others, she felt as though she was serving Jesus himself. Mother Teresa's communication demonstrated Buber's I thou theory. Her attitude toward the poor uncovered the authenticity of her communication. She wrote, quote, "Today those who ignore or reject the poor ignore or reject Christ. The poor do us the honor of allowing us to serve them." Unquote. As a spokesperson, her goal was to help people recognize God in the person of the poor. Her attitude influenced her communication as she never objectified the poor and rarely reduced them to statistics. Instead of sharing in interviews the number of persons who had converted to Catholic faith or had recovered from illnesses, Mother Teresa shared individual stories. Therefore, her communication with God and others modeled I-thou communication with others as she sought reciprocity, extended grace instead of judgment, and focused on the present. The impact of Mother Teresa's I-thou communication may be seen across the world. Hundreds of individuals continue to visit her grave, volunteer at the Missionaries of Charity, and donate funds in her honor. She was a cultural influencer as well in both the Catholic Church and in India. Her critics have argued that she distracted the world from other charities in India, spoke only of a destitute India, sought to convert all Indians to Catholicism, or was a Vatican public relations stunt. However, her actions and communication do not support these accusations. She requested religious freedom from the Prime Minister of India. She spoke of individuals instead of populations, and instead of making money, she begged for her food. When she died, her possessions consisted of 2 cotton saris, underclothes, bedding, a tin bucket for laundry, prayer books, a pen, a pencil, and paper. From this list, it seems evident that her goal was not to become famous or to earn monetary rewards. Instead, she grew and helped others through I-thou interactions. In this way, I-thou communication with God and others were her most valuable possessions. Mother Teresa's communication modeled I-thou interpersonal theory. While Mother Teresa's ministry continues to inspire people from around the world, her communication contributes significantly to I-thou theory. Mother Teresa extended this theory to include the effects of I-thou interpersonal encounters, as well as demonstrating how one's relationship with God impacts interpersonal relationships. The way in which she spoke and wrote was consistent with her actions. Her coherent lifestyle meant that she could communicate in the same way in public as she communicated in private. Therefore, I-thou communication transforms not only others participating, but also oneself. Mother Teresa's communication was authentic and unique. Further research should be conducted to explore the impact of her rhetoric, measure the cultural influence she had on India, and how her communication shifted Catholic culture. Her life and ministry is inspirational and deserving of further exploration. As she continues to be considered as a saint in the Catholic Church, Mother Teresa should also be considered significant in scholarship.